why don't we talk about, I know that alerts have been a big part of the rollout and the success and much of what you were just talking about. Let's talk a little bit about the individual signals and why these are important and the value that each of them is providing to you and your teams.
Sure. I mean, we obviously look at likely to escalate because we're trying to prevent some escalations. But along with that, we've noticed that some of the others even show up earlier than likely to escalate sometimes, or can alert us to something that's relatively simple to fix. A good example is follow-up. If someone's pinging us and asking us for a follow-up, sometimes it'll come up as likely to escalate, sometimes it won't. But what we've been able to catch is maybe someone's out unexpectedly and the manager hasn't gotten through reassigning all their cases yet, and there's someone in there that's hot and really needs attention quickly. That follow-up alert is a thing where we can go, oh, we need to move this one right now, and we need to get that over to a new person. So the action on that might just be reassigning it to another engineer who can pick it up and give them a call back right away. But we can intervene before the frustration sets in that case. If they're just saying, I need a call quickly, there it is. So follow-up and call requests, we use it a lot for that. Frustrated and confusion, we look at those because we want to stop that in its tracks in the case and hopefully maybe re-explain it or work with them in a swarm request, in a swarm, to say, how can we phrase this a different way to help? But we also look at it as, if we're getting a lot of frustrated and confusion alerts on a certain topic, do we need overall better enablement for the team? Do we need better enablement for that one individual? Maybe they're newer and they haven't gotten enough training on that one particular thing. Is it just in general confusing and we need to pass that information over to product to see if documentation can be updated or whatever? We take those signals and we action them immediately, but we also look at them in aggregate to say, how can we improve? Like, are there things we can improve about what we're doing on a daily basis? Are there things we can better prepare the engineers for so they're doing it? We also look at, soft skills. Is it just how we're saying it? Are we just saying it in a way where it's being taken a little bit different? How can we do that a little differently? Lack progress, pretty much the same as follow-up and call request for a lot of reasons. Churn risk too, that's one where we will, a lot of times, we don't get a lot of results on churn risk, which is great. I mean, wouldn't expect to. But when we do, that gives us an opportunity to raise it up to our sales team, for example, and be proactive and say, just so you know, this person's really frustrated and they're saying a lot of things that make us think that maybe it's not just this case. You might want to give them a call. You might want to look into it. So we can kind of reach beyond the confines of support and allow the broader account team to step in if they need to.
That's great. What has been the response? Right, SupportLogic is, in reality, it's just another tool on top of all of the other tools that your support managers and leaders and teams are using. Right. What has been the response both early on and over time from the team, especially when we're talking about something like alerts that are pinging them regularly, that kind of thing? How is that? What's that journey been like for them, and how have you gotten over some of maybe the inertia of getting them to use and leverage a new tool?
Very fair question. I think we were really heavily focused on swarm leads in the beginning. In the beginning, that was the bubble where almost all the action was happening. Like, it was them and pretty much like me and 2 or 3 other people looking at the longer trend. At first there was a little bit of, this is a little bit scary. Can we get this going? And what we did was really focus on how do we convey what this is actually accomplishing and share the numbers with people. And so through some time doing that, people realized the impact they were having. And we also shared a lot of, look, we know that this is heading off CSAT. We know this is lowering TTR. Here's what we see. And here are the trends. We did this many acknowledgements. This is how much this went down. People started to really buy in and to focus on that. And it really worked. I mean, and so as we did that, leaders started saying, I want to get access to, and I want to do this. And we grew it out like that. Yep. And that's really been the biggest success we've had, is kind of showing them exactly where it went and how we were able to get to that spot.
That's awesome. And have you seen, right, I imagine as individual kind of end users have seen that it is having a positive impact on their own KPIs, like, has that, as they've kind of seen that, has that taken some of the pressure off of driving them to use it and have they just kind of embraced using it in that way?
Yeah, I think they really have. I think as they've seen the success, they've really seen, oh, I'm making a difference. And they've seen, as I'm even not just acknowledging, but as they're seeing, oh, as I've been doing this, there's actually less alerts to look at because I'm also giving feedback that, oh, this one's kind of a false positive for us. Yep. And so it's driving down the amount of times it's alerting. And so I think that's been like super helpful to kind of to drive that. We started with swarm alerts, as this says, just setting up the key attention and sentiment flags. And the swarm leads would review them, they'd action them, dismiss the false positive. We gradually saw the number of alerts we were getting coming down, which made it even more manageable. And they were like, hey, that actually works. And leadership would monitor those trends and also provide feedback. And what we really did was communicate to the team really intentionally, this is what we're using it for. We're not just asking you to do this because it's like another thing for you to do. We really, really need help.
Did you find that, I mean, with regards to kind of setting up these key alerts for these flags, what was from an operationalization perspective, like what was the expected action that the teams were to take when they received these alerts? Like, was there a specific process you asked them to follow when they were notified via, negative sentiment or a call request or something of that nature?
Yeah, so they get Slack alerts, and we would ask them, please go into this and go in and look at the case. Is there a swarm request that's already been raised? If there is, check and see if it needs help. Are there other experts we need to bring into the swarm request to move everything along? If there is no swarm request, should it have one? Right. And the answer is not always yes, but most of the time it is yes. Should I raise a swarm request? Or is it something where they're out and I need a manager to intervene to say, here's where we'll just take this case and give it to another person. And so it kind of depends on the alert. And we focused really heavily at first on just responding to the swarm request that was in there and doing whatever we needed to do to take care of it. Sometimes people would do that and not necessarily be good about going back and acknowledging it. So our acknowledgement didn't always track with it. But as that got better, we would start focusing really heavily also on how going back and acknowledging it so that we could track, is the acknowledgement doing really well? Is the acknowledgement actually translating to this? And so we've had people more and more doing that. And that's been super, super helpful. And because we can kind of see where this is what we did, this is where it happened. Right. Before we knew this is what was happening, and we could tell that they were getting alerts and actioning them because there were comments in the case and things like that. But it gave us a definitive tie-in to say, is that really what's moving this needle?
Yeah, so you're talking about measurable outcomes in a sense, right? Yeah.